Yeah, came off a interesting ball game. I think it's one of those that you go back and you look at the film and you go, we didn't really play that bad. And now I know how teams feel guarding Golden State, and I know the Celtics and some of those things. I didn't think our defense was horrible. I thought we lacked a little bite to start the game. I thought we went under maybe a couple screens a little early, a little low on Pickett. Pickett hadn't been shooting the ball great, but we just didn't have enough sting early. And then they got going, and Funk hit a couple in transition and were really hard. The second half, they only made 2 threes. But it got, it was guard-on-guard screens and them taking advantage of Pickett in those situations, whether it was a post-up or whether it was an isolation. Really good player. And, offensively, it was our second highest OER of the Big Ten season. We did what we wanted on that end. And yet, you just kind of say, okay, it was their night. You pat them on the back, and that's they're a really good team when they make those shots. So, just gotta learn from it, put it in the back pocket, and get ready for Indiana. And obviously, they're coming off a tough loss. In the first ball game, Trace was literally the show. I thought we did not much good in that game. That's not to discredit them. Trace was phenomenal, but it's a game we missed 13 layups and 14 free throws. When we had opportunities to score, we didn't keep it close. When we had opportunities to stop a run, we missed free throws. I thought we were pretty solid on most of their other guys, with the exception of Trace. But he's playing at a national MVP type level, and we've got to be aware of that going into the next game.
From your vantage point, what's different about Trace now versus last year?
Grown man, confidence. I think that they've had a couple of injuries. Obviously, Xavier Johnson being out and Race, and that helped. In my opinion, that helped Trace. They put Hood Schifino, he's a pro, put an NBA point guard out there, gave him the ball, and everybody else has been really good in their roles, and they are playing through him every single trip. And they don't hesitate to do anything else. They might run an action every 10 possessions for Hood Schifino, but everything else plays exactly through him, and through that he's gained tremendous confidence. We know what an elite athlete he is, and he's playing like a fourth-year college player should, and he's been dominant throughout Big Ten play.
There's a 13-1 at home. Is there something that just makes them more energized at home?
Most every team plays better at home. I mean, they have a big fan base, and you don't travel, so yeah, like most teams would, try to take care of home base and win at home.
Trace had 8 assists against Northwestern. How concerning is that if you're able to slow him down?
He's the best passing big man in the country. He's the best passing big man in the country. It's what happens when you have experience, you have size now, strength. He's been in the weight room for 4 years. You pair that with his athleticism, and now he's seen every coverage. He has seen singles, he's seen doubles, he's seen them from the baseline, he's seen them from the top. He's not afraid of the trap. He's not afraid to split them. He's an elite passer out of double team. So it's a little bit of pick your poison, and that's why he's a pro. And pros make good plays and elevate their teammates, and he has elevated that team because of his passing.
You've seen, it seems like other teams have thrown doubles. Have you seen anything you liked since you guys last saw them that you'd like to implement? Without, I'm sure you're not going to tell me everything.
I mean, Northwestern just doubled him every trip, and he had 8 assists, almost had a triple-double. I mean, he's been doubled almost every single game, and you know, teams have zoned him, and you know, he finds a way to get 25 rebounds in those games. He's a really, really good player, and you don't slow down really good players. You know, Kofi got 20 and 10 every night. You know, didn't matter what he saw. Trace is in that. He's in that field, and you know, at that level. So yeah, I mean, you gotta hope that he's you know, gotta play both ends of the court. You can't just let him be an offensive player, and you know, then you gotta pick your poison.
I guess with Boots' recovery return, how much did maybe all of the new features here in this building help that along? Maybe things didn't happen?
Huge. I mean, huge from a conditioning standpoint. Not that we didn't have it over in football, but it's just the inconvenience of, you know, scheduling times around that, getting over there, having the underwater treadmill. You know, now you've got, you know, the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Now you've got, you know, all those things that help healing. And yeah, this been probably expedited his process, this building as much as it possibly could, just because of the gadgets and the availability to have it 24 hours a day.
I guess just maybe in general, with foot injuries and basketball players, are those maybe some of the more difficult ones to come back from?
Sure, there becomes a lot of challenges with it. You know, you get you know, everything goes through your feet. You know, can disrupt jump shots, can disrupt, you know, coordination. You know, you can run different because of them. Which then affects your hips and your knees and everything else. So, foot injuries are not to be taken lightly, and you know, they're unfortunately very common. And you start thinking about your running. You know, most guys are running anywhere from 2 to 6 miles every game they play, depending on their minutes. It's pretty important. There's a lot of pounding going on that wood every step they take.
What do you think's clicked for Ty offensively to have a lot more confidence and more production there?
Just patience, the process, growing. I have so much respect for Ty. Just he's never wavered on his just the process. There's been no excuses ever made for you know, playing 6 minutes of one game or 26 the next, and it's just going through the process and getting comfortable and figuring out how to you know, how to score and what that looks like. And you know, you start to see his athleticism, you start to see his feel, his ability to pass, you know, his ability to post up. You know, make a great play and turn in a drive into a post up. All that stuff just comes from confidence and patience. And you know, the one thing with Ty is he's endured the process and been very patient, and you know, not ever tried to rush being great. He's just let it come naturally and instinctive to him, and good things usually happen to those guys.
After what they did here, is Indiana one of those rare teams that can beat you with twos and you have to switch it up against them, or do you just nod your head and go, hey, do it again?
I'm not going to tell you that, but yeah, I mean, the efficiency, twos are one thing. The hard twos and the efficiency of his twos was, I think he was 8 for 8. You know, I think at the 8-minute mark he had 2 baskets, and you know, and then it became too comfortable. You know, we let him catch it on his spots. We let him catch it deep. Where 1 or 2 dribbles, he got it where he wanted. But yeah, the efficiency. Sure, twos can beat you, when you're that efficient at it. And you know, he's been that no matter double teams, singles, zone, man. I mean, he's been that pretty much all year. So you know, that's what a pro looks like. You know, from an athleticism standpoint, I mean, he's a mutant. He's a guy that athletically is not many like him in the country.
Are you getting what you want offensively in recent games? What's some keys for you Saturday?
I mean, we had almost a 1.2 OER the other night. I mean, yeah, we had great shots. We got good looks. We got the ball at the rim. We had you know, our OER when we touched the paint. I didn't think we went to Dane enough. You know, and they posed some different problems for Dane with their 5-out stuff. But you know, when we get paint touches and we get the ball side to side, we've been very, very good. And you know, this game is a great example. We've got to have paint touches. The ball's either got to be touched by the bounce, or we got to pass the ball into Dane, and you know, then make reads off that. And we got to get Matt more threes. You know, we didn't get Matt enough shots, and I think he was 2 for 4. It's a great percentage, but you know, we didn't get him enough looks. But yeah, you give me that OER every single night, and I'm in. We're gonna win most games.
But with some of the roster, I mean, you've seen a guy step away or a guy outright leave. Is there anything you and your staff can take as a learning experience from just the way that's gone this year?
Really? You remember when you were 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a young man who went through an entire process of getting to our campus and dismissed as an agent and signs with a pro team a day later. We're in the world of agents. A lot of these kids aren't making up their own minds, and you know, that's a unfortunate reality that we're now in. So that's to be expected. That's going to be the new norm. That's not going to be something that is relative to a program. I mean, you've got agents holding kids out. You've got people holding kids out for whatever reason, and so. And they're 18, 19 years old, and most of them at this level do have agents.
With Luke available now, I mean, how do you maybe approach changing your rotation in February? You know,
It's a by feel. You know, we know he can help us in certain areas, and you know, you're going to find those moments where we know exactly what we're getting from him, and when those moments are needed, he's going to be there. You know, I think you start looking nationally, and you start. You know, I think I watched the Creighton Providence and looked at their box. I mean, double overtime game, they had guys all in 47, 48, 50 minutes played for both teams. I mean, nobody made substitutions. You know, February, you want to put your best guys on the court who can help you, and yet. You know, a shot of adrenaline can be a really good thing, and you know, so we'll play that by feel. But again, it's about time to win and making sure that you know, we give ourselves the best chance of doing that.
How important was that for Luke to see that go down in a game like setting?
Yeah, big. I mean, he hadn't had one in a year, and you know, it's the one thing with Luke, he's not afraid, and you know, his opportunities are going to come, and you know, he's a gravity guy. He's a guy that spaces the floor and draws attention, and if you don't, he's going to make it. And you know, I think he's one of the elite shooters in this league, and we can really utilize that as we move down the stretch here. Is his ability to make jump shots, and that creates room for our drivers, and it recruits and you know, TJ and Jaden and Buck, and then it creates space for Dane. So that's something that will help all of us.
In the heat of the game, what's kind of the difference between recognizing a good three and a bad three? It seems like that's been an issue at times.
Yeah, most of our good threes come when we touch the paint. Most of our bad threes come, and Matt's maybe an exception because Matt's a very good hard shot maker, but yeah, when most of them that come off the dribble, I don't love. But you know, we base more of them on contested, uncontested, and then we base them off paint touches and non-paint touches. And there's a pretty big discrepancy in our percentages when we make those.
Different systems, but with Indiana's combination of trace and shooters, do they present any similar challenge to your roster did with Kofi and guys last year? And how does that maybe inform you or not?
You start looking at the productivity of our players last year with Kofi. You know, it's not rocket science to see why Plummer became an All-Big Ten player. You look at, I mean, Jacob Grandison had 26 in a game. You know, Trent Frazier's productivity, all those guys are, and they're good players. But when you have to worry about a horse in the middle and double, and don't have to play single coverage, all of that becomes elevated. And you know, you put, you know, it's why Alfonso was such a big piece of our team. Was you know, and adding an elite shooter, that's space. And you know, do you want to give up a three because he was going to make it if he was open, or are you good with twos? And teams have to pick their poison. And yeah, unfortunately, this league's got two of the best in the country this year, and Zach and Trace, and you know, they've spaced with Miller Kopp, they've spaced with Shafino Hood and Hood Shafino, and you know, they've got good players. So and other than the freshmen, they're old. So yeah, it's a challenge. There's no doubt.
Is this the most condensed you've seen the league since you've been here? It seems like everyone's kind of in one little area there.
Well, I think everybody's gone through their moment, more so than in years past. You know, I think somebody told me, and I don't know, this would be fact, we're the winningest team since January 5th. Unfortunately, we don't get rid of the 3 losses before that. But everybody has gone through their moment, and at some point, and looked like a really good team and looked like a really bad team. And that has been unusual. There's always been, you know, kind of a few that have been kind of above the rest. But yeah, the league is really, really good. And you know, one week you say somebody's the best team in the league, and the next week you say somebody else is the best team in the league, you know. And the little bit I saw of Maryland last night, they looked like the best team in the league. You know, 2 weeks ago I would have said it was Purdue, and then they lost to Indiana, and I said, you know, after playing Indiana, they're the best team in the league. So I don't have so much respect for the coaches in this league and the players in this league that it's not shocking that this league's this jumbled.
Is that fun or frustrating?
It's February. I don't know if anybody's having fun. No, I think it's just college basketball. I mean, who's a great team? I don't know if there is one. I think on a given night anybody can beat anybody. I think it would make a great NCAA tournament. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if there's 3 Big Ten teams, 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four. You know, I think it could be that. But it's I don't want to say it's fun. It's a grind, and it's always a challenge because it's the next game you're dealing with a great player, and or being in great environments, home or away, and probably not real fun.
Is there anything you can? Is there anything you can see that's led to that league-wide kind of variance from stretch to stretch? I mean, just because it's been so, like you said, maybe more consistent in the past.
I think we lost. We obviously lost a lot of pros. This year's a little different in the fact that probably more freshmen are playing than maybe at any other time since I've been in the league. You know, I think a couple years ago we had Adam and Hunter were the only 2 freshmen that played really a lot of minutes. So, you know, I think there's been maybe a little more inconsistency that way because young guys are playing a little more, but you know, it's still I mean, you look at the freshmen in this league and there's a lot of pros. So a lot of really good players and a lot of really good coaches.
Okay.
Thanks.